So if you're watching this video, you're likely an e-commerce brand that's looking to leverage your email marketing to generate more profits on the back end so that you can lower your CAC and increase your LTV and even lower your CPA on your ad spend so that when you are pushing all this traffic to your website, that you have a proper back end system to monetize those leads essentially when they don't convert right away on the site. Because as we know, if you're in the top 10% of Shopify sites as far as conversion rate goes, that's 5.26% conversion rate. That's really good. But there's still another 94, 95, 96, 7, 8% of your site traffic that is just bouncing off of your site and not purchasing. And with email marketing, we are in a lot more control over whether they convert again rather than leaving it up to retargeting ads or if they bounce and hit your social media platform every now and then. Those are organic ways that may or may not convert them. But with email marketing, we're able to leverage the information that they've gave us and get them to convert on the back end through keeping in touch with them through these emails. So this is the complete guide to how to get started with email marketing for your brand, or even how to get started if you're just, someone who's looking to get into email marketing. But this is a guide to leveraging email marketing for your e-commerce brand. And these are the basics on how to get started. So this is beginners friendly. So we're going to go over when you should start using email marketing for your brand, where to start, what flows you need, what do you need to actually set up. That is the core, like not necessarily the 9 core flows, but really the core bare bones system that you need to set up. What is important within those emails that you do set up, ways to grow your email list when you're starting out, segmenting your email list when you start sending campaigns, and why Klaviyo is still the number 1 platform out there for e-commerce email marketing. So this is a screenshot from one of our clients' accounts. We've been working together since December 1st, so that's roughly 5 months. And our strategies have generated them just over $1 million in revenue just in the last 5 months, which is 103% more than they did previous year. They were consistently bringing in maybe low 20%, 22, 23, I think is what it was, through email. And we were able to help them get that up to 47%. And this is just another screenshot of their campaigns being up 126% since we started working together, and their flows being up 80, almost 90 or 81% compared to previous years. So these results or these strategies work, and as long as you implement them into your system, like these don't work unless you implement them. So let's kind of get into exactly where and when you should start email marketing and kind of how to begin. So first and foremost, we got a couple of things to go over here. So we'll zoom in. Ideally, the best time to start your email marketing and to get that set up is the first day of your launch. And so why is that important? Well, having the proper flows is a huge part of the customer journey, the customer experience, giving them a good experience. And it's something that consumers in 2024 actually expect to be receiving. They expect there to be a pop-up. They expect to possibly even get a discount on their first purchase. And they expect to get some emails throughout the process and after they purchase so that you are constantly talking to them. It's just something that every brand does, every winning brand does. And it's allowed consumers to basically just expect that it's going to happen. And so it's ideal that you have this set up in the beginning from day one so that you can give them a proper customer experience. And it's also going to help your launch be more profitable as well. So you're going to convert more people, especially when you open the floodgates as far as traffic to your website. Or if that isn't the case and you've already launched your brand, most of you probably have, then once you've found product market fit, there's a typo there. Once you've found product market fit, and once you're spending roughly $100 to $1,000+ in that range, once you're spending money on ads to actually get site traffic to your website, is when it becomes very valuable to get email marketing in place. So at this point, your website is getting enough traffic to bring in a solid ROI and profit boost from having email marketing set up. And so where should you start if you're at this point already? Well, you don't need to have everything set up and optimized on day one. That is, definitely ideal, but you're not going to have things fully optimized yet because it takes time to test properly, test certain variables, see what your list likes, see how your customers react to certain messaging, certain offers. And So you at least want to have your bare minimum flows set up in the customer journey. So these aren't even your bare minimum, or these are the bare minimum. But I wouldn't even deem these as all of the core flows. We typically set up, five or six core flows, and then like a total of 9 to 12 like actual flows. So like a total of 12 flows in general for our brands that come to us for our done for you services. Check the link in the bio if that's something you're interested in. But this is the bare minimum that you need to set up just for the customer journey and the customer experience. So, very first and foremost, you need a pop up. You need to be collecting the email addresses and some first party data from your site visitors, or else the 95 cents to the dollar that you push to your site from your ads is just going to bounce, and you're not going to have any way of contacting them again unless it's a retargeting ad or them landing on social media. And as we know, that's very out of our control. And so if we capture their email, we can successfully market to them and give them enough touch points to where they eventually convert. And so how do you grow your list? How do you actually collect more emails? How do you grow your email list when you're just starting out? And so a couple ways to grow your email list. The first and foremost, and something I can't believe that some brands still aren't using, are pop-ups. You need to set up a pop-up in your Klaviyo account, assuming you use Klaviyo. You definitely should be, or SendLane. That's the second best option here. And you need to be setting up a mobile desktop version as well as a footer opt-in. And you need to have your offer super clear, concise, and needs to be the first thing you see when you see that pop-up. And so it's important to have a strong offer to pull people in and have flows set up to convert these new subscribers, or else you're just wasting the data that you're collecting here. And then the second way to do this is you probably have a community built up. You probably have a social following on Instagram or Facebook or Meta, TikTok or YouTube, and you need to be pushing these people to your email list, to your website. Maybe you set up a specific landing page for them to go to, and you can run some raffles or giveaways. Maybe you just push them to your website and hope that your pop-up captures them. There's a couple ways to do this, but you can also do referral rewards where you can do, hey, if every person you bring to our email list and signs up and doesn't unsubscribe like right away, then you get a ticket to enter into a giveaway. Or you can run a challenge where for example, we have a health brand right now where on social media they're pushing to an 8-week health challenge, and you can sign up via email to be a part of the health challenge. And once you get in, put your email in, you're on our email list, as well as entered into a Facebook group to do the health challenge for 8 weeks. Those are a couple ways to grow your email list. And this is an example of a client that we brought on, the same client from the screenshot before. This is the list without a pop-up, and this is from January to November of last year, so about 11 months. Their list was 60,000, and they just weren't capturing any new subscribers. They were capturing some, but like net negative on the year because they were losing so many and they didn't have a pop-up. So these are just people who've purchased, and the occasional handful of people that found their footer opt-in at the very, very bottom of their website. And so that's really not ideal. If they let this go over, the next, 5 years, they would lose even more subscribers, and that would just continue killing their email list. They'd start making less and less money from email marketing, and then their profits would go down, their LTV would go down, and it would not be looking good for them. So just implementing a pop-up and doing our system with the flows and the campaigns, but this is about list growth. So implementing the pop-up mobile and desktop version, they went from converting no one to, in 5 months, adding 18,000 new subscribers to their list and increasing their engagement. I don't have the screenshot here, but their engagement window increased an extra 7,000 people on, I think it's a 120-day engaged list, because we're bringing more people in. They want to buy from us and they want to hear from us, and they're active because we're sending them consistent emails, campaigns. They've been in the flows already. They maybe purchased from us already, and we're keeping in touch. And so some people might think like, oh, but you're losing, this month you lost maybe 1,300 subscribers, but we gained 6,300. And so the net positive there is some of those people shouldn't be on your list anyway. If they're not going to buy from your emails, there's still a chance that they buy from you, and maybe they're just not someone who wants to receive emails. Maybe they, like this particular offer, we're doing a free cookbook with 13 recipes. And so maybe someone just wanted to get the recipe, and that's the only reason they're on there, because they don't actually like emails. and things like that. But this is a prime example of what your account can look like without a pop-up versus a pop-up. And so that's the best way to grow your email list, is to get your pop-up situated and to be testing it consistently so that you are growing that at an 8 to 12% conversion rate. And, you know, the better metric here is like how many people are converting in your welcome flow that convert through your pop-up. But for now, we're just talking about how to actually grow the list. And so the next 3 things you should have set up, part of this like 4-step bare minimum process, is you need to have a welcome flow that's converting new subscribers into first-time buyers, and to prime and nurture people for future purchases. So giving them all the information they need, the FAQs, the best sellers, the brand story, the founder story, all the objections and information they might have as they kind of put the puzzle pieces into the picture frame, as they kind of imagine your brand image. Oops, just hit the mic there. And the next thing you need is your abandoned cart and abandoned checkout flows. Why these ones over the other ones? This is like the highest buying intent flow for you, other than maybe the welcome flow. These people are so far in your funnel that they've added products to their cart, or they've started checkout and they abandon it. And so this needs to be converting these people that are so close to buying in your funnel, and they just need a small push and maybe even an incentive further down the line, and maybe email 6, 7, 8. And then the next thing you need for the simplicity of customer experience is a post-purchase flow. So many brands out there, and I see so many customers talk about, as soon as I purchased from this brand, they stopped talking to me. They sent me so many emails. They talked to me so much before I purchased. Once I purchased, they acted like I didn't exist anymore. And a customer is worth so much more to you than a non-buyer, because now that they've purchased once, assuming your product is actually good, and assuming you solve a problem and have a great product experience, a customer is so much more likely to buy from you again. If your product sucks, unfortunately, when you get it into the hands of somebody else, odds are they're not going to repeat purchase because your product sucks. But if it doesn't suck, assuming it doesn't, assuming you're in business to create better experiences for people, then you need to be talking to them once they purchase. You need to be reducing buyer's remorse, and you need to be creating a relationship with your customers so that you have the actual LTV possibility in the future to get them to purchase more and more, and increasing your LTV, which is going to increase your profitability on your ad spend as well, because spending $50 to acquire a $100 customer is a whole lot more expensive than spending $50 to acquire the same customer that spends $250 with you. And so here are some screenshots of just how powerful some of these flows are. So these are screenshots from that same account before, and just their welcome flow over the last 5 months has generated them $49,000 and is up 386% since we've started doing this. Their abandoned checkout and abandoned cart flow typically can have the same information in here, except you want to tweak the objections that you're handling. For example, you might want to talk about shipping versus, like a risk reversal, money back guarantee, those kind of things. Their abandoned checkout flow is up 22%. They didn't have an abandoned cart flow before, so we added this. So this is an additional $54,000. This is $69,000, $70,000 that they've added to their revenue. And then they used to not have a VIP flow. They had everything kind of scrunched into this post-purchase flow, which is why this one's down 62, 63%, because we've taken it and split it up into different flows here, which essentially the VIP flow, if you're doing 4 or more orders, an extra $22,000. This is a very high converting flow. And most of these purchases don't actually even come from the incentive that we give, which is pretty crazy. This is just like, hey, you're in the VIP program. Here are the benefits that you have. And a lot of people are buying from that email. Then you have your regular post-purchase customer ordered. You have the second and third time purchasers as well, which is just another 13 grand and 17.5 grand. So this is what I'm talking about when like just these bare bones basics are still going to generate you a whole lot of money. Like I think right here, not to do public math, but let's just round up 50, 70. So we got, 120 grand, 170 grand, 195 grand. Let's just call it $225,000 just from these flows alone. And that doesn't include the other 6, 7, 8 flows that we have set up for this brand. So hopefully that math was right. Hopefully I didn't just embarrass myself there. Probably should stay away from the public math. So What's important within these emails once you do have these flows set up? Well, the three biggest things are design, copywriting, and giving a personalized experience. And so within design, I'm not necessarily talking about how pretty your emails look. I'm talking about the design structure. Are you mixing in images to text? Do you have a good image to text ratio? Are you mixing in plain text emails in there? Are they structured properly where your above the fold section is optimized? The next point here is like, are they mobile optimized? We come into a lot of brands that just edit their emails in Klaviyo in the desktop view. You switch to mobile view and you check it on your mobile device, and it looks completely awful. You can't see the button. You can barely read it because the text is so big. So you need to be mobile optimizing first and then desktop optimizing, unless you're a brand that has older people and 80% of your revenue comes through, your clicks come through desktop, then you want to desktop optimize first and then mobile optimize. But most of the time, that's not the case. I think right now we're seeing just over 65, 70% of people for our clicks from our clients coming through mobile. And so it's super, super important. And that number is only going to increase as less and less people use desktops. Then you need to mix in plain text in there. And that's what I mean with structure. So how are you mixing in your email designs? How are you structuring things? That is super, super important within these emails. The next thing here is copywriting. And so this is super important. Once you have your messaging down, assuming you have product market fit, you have the messaging down, and so you know the biggest pain points and the desires that your customers are looking for, you need to use some frameworks here. And so one of the copywriting frameworks that we use at our agency is the 4 Ps. And you need to promise, picture, proof, and push. And so essentially what this means is like the promise, what's in it for them? Why should they read this email? What benefit are they going to get out of this? And how are like why should they continue to read this? One of my favorite lines in I think it was, I can't remember if it was an Ogilvy book or scientific advertising, but it's your headline is meant to get the reader to read your first sentence, and then your first sentence is meant to get the reader to read the second sentence. In your second sentence, the whole goal is to get the reader to read the third sentence, and so on and so forth. And so the very first sentence in the very beginning of your email needs to promise them something, not saying like, hey, we promise that you'll get XYZ result, but like what's in it for them. Then you need to sell the identity change that your brand is providing. When you're selling e-commerce products, you're not in the product industry. You're not into selling products. You're in the business of selling a new identity. You think about vitamins. What are you selling? You're selling a healthier, happier life. You're selling more time with your kids. You're selling a better relationship, being able to have a relationship because you're healthier. These are the kind of things you're selling. And so you need to sell the actual identity change and paint the picture in their mind of what their life could be like buying from your brand. Then you need to slam them with social proof. This is a huge thing. And you can test certain things like, raw reviews versus like done up styled reviews. That's super important as well. The next thing you need to be testing, or the next step here, is push. So you need to give them a clear call to action. Most brands don't ever actually push people to the site or ask them to purchase the products. And that's why they're missing out on a lot of sales, because they're not willing to do that. The next thing here is using the information you have to personalize their experience. So your flows are somewhat personalized because they are where they're at in the buying journey. So speaking to someone who's added to cart versus someone in the welcome flow a bit differently. Collecting first-party data in your pop-up, such as are you male or female, or if you're a clothing brand, that matters. Or like a good example I like to use is Mud Water. They're a coffee replacement that has some mushrooms in it as well. And so like, are you looking to replace your coffee intake? Are you looking to like understand a little bit more about mushrooms and the benefits there? Are you looking to reduce your caffeine? Those are the three ones that they have. And once you know that data, you can personalize the flow that they're in, for example, the welcome flow, and tweak your messaging to talk about the mushrooms, to talk about reducing caffeine, to talk about how this is a better option than coffee. And then you basically just allows you to talk to exactly what they want out of, the experience that your brand has to offer. And so what about campaigns? Like this covers the flows. What about campaigns? So the biggest thing with your campaigns is you just need to be segmenting. And so this is a little bit of segmentation 101. And we'll kind of keep it basic here because at this point, when you're just starting out, unless your list is super, super big. I'm talking, 200, 250K subscribers or more that are active. You don't want to over segment. So your key segments here, and the segments are categories of customers that you've defined by certain definitions that you've set up within Klaviyo. For example, someone has opted into email marketing and is a male, and then you have a second one that and is a female. You have someone who has purchased from us, has placed an order at least once, overall time, and has not canceled that order, or someone has never purchased from you over all time. So you have a non-buyers, a post-purchasers, and a male and female segment. Those are just some examples. So the top segments that you should have set up for your brand, you should have engagement-based segments. So an example of one of these is someone who's opened, clicked, or viewed a product on your site, or even just viewed your site in the last 30 days. That's a 30-day engagement segment. You should typically be sending most of your campaigns to the 30, 60, 90, 120 day engaged, typically 30 to 60 days, depending on how engaged your list is. We have some clients who their list isn't as engaged as it maybe, could be for other brands. So we send to 30 to 60 days. And then we have some clients that get 50, 60, 70% opens on a 120 day to a 270 day engaged list, which is crazy. One of our clients averages 50% opens on 270 day engaged. And it's just kind of crazy. So you should also have segments based off preference. Now that you've collected that first party data, if you're a clothing brand, do they like hoodies or short sleeves more? Do they wear more pants or more shorts? If you're a supplement brand, are they looking to gain muscle or are they looking to lose weight? Then you can cater that messaging in these campaigns to those types of segments. Then you need to be excluding segments from your campaign. So this is something else I don't see very many people doing. You need unengaged segments. So you need to exclude and suppress the people who hard bounced your emails twice. They haven't opened in X amount of days, and they're, if they're in high intent flows like the abandoned cart or abandoned checkout flow, you need to exclude them from receiving campaigns. And this can be done in a segment, but it can also be done within that flow. We won't get into the technical details there, but you need to be taking these people out of receiving your campaigns, because these two top ones are going to lower your deliverability. They're going to lower your opens and click rates, which is going to also further increase deliverability problems. And then if they're high buying intent flow recipients, then they shouldn't be getting offers from campaigns or getting confused or lost in other emails. They should be stuck to exactly where they're at into the funnel, so that they are, if someone's added to cart and then they receive a campaign about a product and they go back to the product and now they're in the product page and they leave, you've just successfully brought them from added to cart back to browse abandonment, essentially. And so that's not what you want to do. So what platform should you be using for all of this, technical stuff that we just talked about here for your email marketing? And so, all these things that we set up, we do all of this in Klaviyo. The only other option that I would even consider to use is SendLane. But even right now, to be honest, it's not nearly where Klaviyo is yet. And I think it will be. I think it's super important to eventually learn that and to maybe, understand it a bit. So if Klaviyo, doesn't ever improve again, then you switch to SendLane. But right now, Klaviyo is what we use. Klaviyo is what we recommend. And Klaviyo is where you're likely going to see the best email marketing results. And so 10 out of 10 times we're recommending brands there. We help migrate you from MailChimp, from, OmniSend, wherever you're at. I've even had someone ask about Salesforce. Don't use Salesforce. You need to be getting on Klaviyo. There's a link in the bio to our website if it's something you want to help get migrated to, from MailChimp to Klaviyo or something like that. Let us know. We can help you out there. But Klaviyo is a data powerhouse. It's a CDM, a customer database or customer data management software, essentially. And what this allows you to do is have really powerful dynamic blocks. And they're extremely powerful. And so what this means is in your emails, like we collected the preferences, so maybe you like shorts or pants. In your emails, you can have a block that will auto-populate what someone prefers to buy. So if they're more of a shorts person than a pants person, and they have that tag on their Klaviyo account, you can set up a product block, because Klaviyo has this data about the customer, and they will show them whatever product they prefer. You can also do a block where it shows what products they last viewed. And so this isn't something where you have to make a million emails for the million subscribers that you have. This is just a dynamic block that Klaviyo is able to use, because is such a powerhouse of data, and it stores all of this stuff. So the other thing that you can do is there's so many reporting options in Klaviyo, and it's super important because this allows you to make more educated decisions when you're thinking about what to test, what to look at as far as making decisions, your maybe what offers to run. It'll give you information on that. Basically paints a clearer picture of your customer database, your customer base, and allows you to make better decisions. It also gives you really decent deliverability metrics. In other words, deliverability reporting, so you know whether or not you're hitting the spam folder, the promotions tab, or the primary inbox. And that's super important. And that's something I haven't seen too many other ESPs give really good enough data on. And so that's super important. Klaviyo also has a bunch of integrations that you can go and mess with, and other Shopify apps integrate with Klaviyo more than any other ESP out there. So that's super beneficial. If you have an upsell thing for your website, you just have an added to cart kind of app that lets you do some one click upsells. Those are super helpful, super integrated into Klaviyo, as well as Social Snowball for if you're doing any influencer marketing or affiliate programs. Integrates super well into Klaviyo. That's another big benefit there. They also have by far the most advanced testing, A/B testing possibilities and potential. And kind of the things here, like to give you some tips on how to actually A/B test if you've already set up that stuff that we've talked about before. You want to always be continuously testing. That is the biggest key here. You want to test one variable at a time per split test. So you can test these kind of things here: send times, subject lines, long form, short form, lifestyle versus product images, GIFs and static images, type of offer that you're running, type of reviews that you show, whether it's a raw screenshot from Facebook or Amazon versus a more design heavy email or review. You need to test your messaging angles, maybe the way you present the discounts. Those are a couple things you can test. That's kind of the main 9 there. And you need to have every test be significantly different than the other version that you're testing against. And so what this means is you don't want to test a subject line that has like 2 word changes. You need to test something dramatically different than that to actually get significant data, or else you're just wasting, 2-3 weeks waiting for the data to build up on that test. The other thing you need to do is decide a metric to focus on. So are you trying to optimize for better open rates, or are you trying to optimize for better click rates? You need to decide that before you test, because it's going to skew the way you look at the data when you're trying to decide whether you have a winner or not. You also need to manually decide your winners. You don't want to let Klaviyo do this, because sometimes it will decide on the wrong things. Sometimes it's not going to have the same opinion as you. And for the most part, you're going to have a better opinion of what's winning than that is. And also make sure that you're keeping an eye on them. So that's super important. And then the other thing is you need to wait long enough for a significant sample size. You don't want to pull a test if it's losing after 100 sends. You need to wait until you at least have 500 to 1,000 sends per variation, so that you're getting a significant enough sample size depending on how much traffic that you get to your site. And Klaviyo as well still has the most superior email builder that I've tested. SendLane is second best, but it's still not as easy to use, and the mobile and desktop optimization is a lot more difficult. So Klaviyo's drag and drop, plug and play system is still by far the best. And so it's so much easier and super simple to get really great looking emails without having to hire a copywriter and a designer and a Klaviyo account manager and so on to do all those things for you, if that's what you so choose to do. If you're not into writing your own emails, scheduling them, building them out in Klaviyo, getting them designed. Like I said, the link in our bio to our website, those are all the things that we do for our clients. So if you don't have the bandwidth or the time and energy to do those for yourself, and you don't want to spend, several $1,000s to hire a copywriter, to hire a designer, to hire a Klaviyo account manager, we are the better option there if that's something you're interested in. So let us know. And so all of this stuff that we talked about today is all meant to increase your full funnel ROAS, because it's dramatically better when you're capturing more of these conversions on the back end of the traffic that you're pushing to your site. And so having all this set up is what's going to allow you to increase your LTV, which is going to lower your CAC ratio there. Having a solid welcome flow is going to decrease your CPA because you're converting more of the people that you push to your site. And so you're going to be more profitable on your ad spend, which allows you to spend more on ads, hire more team members if you need it, buy more stock in advance and in inventory, or just keep pushing that back into ads and just have a more profitable machine. So hopefully this was valuable. This is the guide on how to leverage email marketing for your e-commerce brand. Hopefully this was beginner friendly enough for you guys, and you should now know exactly when you should start, where you should start, what's important within those emails that you do start running, a couple ways to grow your email list, how to segment when you're first starting out sending campaigns, and why you should be switching to Klaviyo if you haven't already, and why you should set up on Klaviyo if you've never set up an ESP before. Let me know if this was valuable. Let me know if there's other things that you want to learn. Drop a comment, drop a like, make sure you're subscribed to these for these videos, and we'll be dropping 3 trainings a week from here on out. And yeah, catch you next time.